All right, class. Our last two pages in this section of our book, 14 and 15, we're on page 14 and 15. We're still studying clues from Cahoyaka. Remember, that is that Indian nation that set up in southern Illinois. They built these huge hills. Yesterday we found out that archaeologists had dug there and had found remains of what looked like would have been a wooden building. And so now we're going to check a little bit more out about that today. Here's one artist's rendering. It says, archaeologists team up with political scientists to reconstruct what life was like on Cahoyaka 1,000 years ago. An artist based this drawing on the findings of the social scientists. So that's the artist picture. Here's what they thought of it. Now, what would they have done? What would have helped them find that? Well, they would have found bones of animals. So they knew that these Indians were hunters. You can see that's a deer. And so they must have been hunters. You can also see that they got baskets of some kind of fruit or berries or wood there. So they would have been gatherers. Go out into the woods, gather fruits and vegetables there. Okay, here would have been what that wooden building at the top of the hill would have looked like, and maybe that's where the chief would have stayed, as the rest of the people stayed on the bottom. Maybe that's where they would have gone, top of the hill, if there was ever a war, right? In those days, you would have fought with bows or arrows or spears, and so if you were on top of a hill, you'd be safer than on the bottom. This is just what the social scientists think may have been there based on all the artifacts, all the pieces that they found there. Well, let's read about it. Archaeologists now know that a building once stood on top of the Great Mound. But what was it for? Nothing they found on the mound explained it, so they turned to political science for help. Political scientists studied how people organized into governments. They make such a large mound, thousands of people would have had to work together. These people must have had good leaders. Could this explain the building on top of the mound? Pictures and scenes of thousands of years ago. Everywhere you look, people are at work. Some are in the vast fields beyond the city raising corn for food, while others dig soil from pits and place it in baskets. People carry the heavy baskets to the foot of the mound. Up and up they climb until at last, exhausted, they drop their loads. Slowly, very slowly, the mound grows taller. Who is in charge of all that work? Convincing thousands of people to move more than 22 million cubic feet of soil takes powerful leadership. Political scientists say that a group of high-ranking nobles may have ruled Cahoyaka. They may have lived on top of this mound while the people lived in the city below. Notice the word may there. May. This is what their idea is. From what they found, this is what they think. Help from economics. Archaeologists now know that nobles ruled the large, rich city, but how had the city grown so large and become so wealthy? Archaeologists turn to economics for help. Economists ask questions about resources. What resources did Cahoyaka have? One of the resources they had was rich soil along the Mississippi River. You notice they lived close to water. All these Indian groups would have lived close to water that allowed people to grow as much food as they needed. This also meant that more people could live in one place and that not everyone had to work in the fields or hunt for food. Some people could work on building a great city. Rivers were another resource because they served as water highways for trade. Traders brought salt to Cahoyaka in canoes. They also carried shells from the Gulf of Mexico and copper from the Great Lakes. Now, these two places are a long ways away. How do they know they did that? Well, when they were digging up some of these hills, they came across these shells of shellfish that would have lived in the Gulf of Mexico. They also came up with copper that would have come from northern Wisconsin along the Great Lakes. And so these people traveled far north and far south. People use these things to make objects of great beauty. Archaeologists have found curved shell jewelry, copper ornaments, and stone figures. Why did the people leave? Now this is the big question. Why aren't these people still there? Nobody knows exactly, but part of the answer may be that people used up the resources. Archaeologists believe that the Coya cut down trees and farmed the same fields until the land could no longer support so many people. Today, the mounds at Cahokia are an important monument. Thanks to the work of social scientists, we now know that long ago a large city, lively city, existed in this place. There's one of the artifacts that they dug up. Artifacts similar to this Cahokia head pot tells us something about the culture. The pot shows what early American Indians' tattoos might have looked like. So notice that they got these little markings on there, and that's quite possible of what they maybe would have put markings on their own skin. Guys, today that's the end. This is the next section of our book. Tomorrow you will have your first test. In review for your test, you might want to study all of the yellow and blue bold-faced words. Those will be on your test. You should know what archaeologists are. You should know about your 4 different social scientists, your historians, your political scientists, your economists, and geography. Review those key terms. If you'd like to, and you're on your TCI on your Chromebook, you can go and flip those cards in the flashcard section of that. Reread or review for the test tomorrow. I'm going to read you the test and take it with you to make it a little bit easier. No assignment for today.